Today we're going to adapt a node to the screen to set up how your content is displaying.
Let's see how to create a design or integrate your own design. We have already seen the nodes, how to use the graph, and the variables. The basis for changing the appearance is the attribute of the nodes, including an attribute that is present in most: style. Like on the text node, where we can change the background attribute, for example, to put a yellow background in a single color, or via a gradient, which we can change the direction. We can add a border like red. Let's try on the image node, where we can change the rounding or the shadow. We can add an inner shadow with a blur of 10 pixels, which we set to red. As it is an image, I have to change the shadow outer, to see it appear. For the text, I can put one on the inside that will show up better. If I create a node, or even on the node section, I can change the background, like blue. Then there are attributes specific to each node. On text, there's a formatting attribute to change its size, for example. On button, I can deactivate it directly, which changes its effectiveness. On image, if I indicate in layout an attribute that we will see later that is only 100 pixels, the attribute specific to image will allow me to change the relationship of the image frame to the image itself. The frame can contain the whole image. By using cover, we tell it to extend the image to the maximum without distorting it. None is the option that will display the image as is. The attributes allow you to customize your design down to the pixel. Let's remove these nodes to keep only a button. Let's add inputs to make a login screen. Let's add a section with the text "Stay connected" and a checkbox. By default, some attributes have the same colors to give a graphical consistency, like the checked box and the button, because association with the variable theme is by default. Changing this variable will impact several elements by default, for example, in pink. In the same way for texts, if we put the background in black, we could change only the value of the attribute, background color of a text. But if we connect this attribute to the variable theme.foreground, then changing this variable directly changes all the texts. By clicking from the attribute on the theme variable, more precisely its field theme.foreground, and by clicking on previous, we see the whole variable theme. The theme variable is composed of a default font and its thickness, a text bold. Then the colors. Background is for the general background of the app. By the way, let's make it black by default. We associate the background to this field of the theme variable so that it is dynamic. Then there is the foreground for the elements in the foreground like text or icons. Sub-background will be used for what is on the background but slightly lighter. For example, a subtly darker gray, which will change the input here. Sub-foreground will be like the foreground but lighter for dates and titles. Error background and error foreground will represent errors. Primary background will be the main color used everywhere on the site. Primary foreground will be displayed on top of primary background, like here, the white text on top of the pink. Primary highlight will be based on primary background, but a little bit lighter, and is used by default when hovering over elements, like here, a bit lighter pink. Customizing the theme is the fastest way to define your graphic charter. Changing the appearance depending on the state as a hover is available on any node. Let's take the example of a user who would like to sign up instead of logging in with login. Let's create a text "sign up instead," which creates a new account instead. Let's change the text to blue. If I want to define that when I hover over this text, so when my mouse is over it, it will change color, I have to define its new color in the hover state. There are 4 states that can be seen above the attributes: default, hover, pressed, and disabled. Not all of the attributes are available depending on the states and nodes. In hover text, we customize the formatting attribute. Another interesting attribute to customize on hover is in its transformation, scale. If I set the X and Y positions to 0.95, and I make the text 5% smaller, and it gives it a change. If I press, I am no longer in the hover state, but pressed, the change stops. For example, here it is set to ease in and out with a duration of 0.3 seconds. Let's put back out for a change with a delay of 0.3 and a slightly longer duration of 0.5. And we'll see that the animation is slower. Let's look at this on an image, which we'll put at 100 pixels by 100 pixels on the cover. Let's customize the transformation to 0.5 to reduce it by half on the flyover. The back in and out transition will then give a bounced effect. The states can therefore be applied to many nodes and offer a very interesting visual feedback. And that's it for attributes and states.
Thanks for watching.